You see before you someone who is successful in life, not because I work only a couple of days a week in the role of anesthetic technician, or because I drive a late model Mercedes, or because I have investment properties, a loving family, and the time to help my husband with his business. I use the term success because I have achieved these dreams. Even when I was younger, dreams were not in my vocabulary. Spending years in labor camps, one bowl of watery rice each day, wearing a uniform of black, no shoes, 12 hours of working in the fields each day, and decisions all taken out of my hands. For the first 21 years of my life, I had been through some terrible times, like surviving the infamous killing fields of Cambodia, to being a fugitive during the Vietnamese occupation, and becoming an illegal refugee in Thailand. I was born into a working middle-class family in the capital city of Phnom Penh, Cambodia. We had a comfortable home. My older brother and I attended a private school there. I had a normal childhood up until the age of 7. In 1975, the communist Khmer Rouge won the war over the US-backed Cambodian government. The Khmer Rouge force evacuated all the people from the city the moment they took power. First, they ordered us from our home for 3 days so they could organize a new government. The 3-day journey turned into a death march toward 4 years of slavery, torture, and starvation in one of the most horrific labor camps known to the world as the Killing Fields of Cambodia. After almost 3 months on the death march, the Khmer Rouge then separated my family by taking each of us to a different labor camp. Our works in the labor camps were purely manual labor, like clearing the forest to make farmland, building water reservoirs, and rice farming. All works had to be done by hands. The Khmer Rouge had brought Cambodia back to the pre-civilization era, known as Year Zero, in the Khmer Rouge calendar. Their ideology was to make Cambodia self-sufficient through an extreme agricultural reform. There was no machinery of any sort, no currency, no school, no hospital, no religion, no city, no electricity, no car, no family unit. The whole country was made into one gigantic communal entity, strictly controlled by the Khmer Rouge. Every aspect of my life was controlled. I was told what to do, when to eat, when to sleep, when to get up, and what to wear. It was all about complete obedience to commands. I was told to address my parents as comrades. I was not allowed to show any emotional feelings toward them in public. When I found out that my dad had been executed, I had to pretend that he was just one of those who had to be eliminated by the revolution. I had to cry in the bush, hiding. Avoiding being seen and keeping quiet were my survival skills. My dad had been executed for a simple reason, that he was an intellectual. To the Khmer Rouge, if you can read, you are an intellectual. If you wear glasses, it means you can read. You are an intellectual. If you speak a foreign language, you are an intellectual, and all intellectuals had to be terminated as they could pose risks to the revolution. Over 2 million people died during the 4 years of the Khmer Rouge regime. I survived the killing fields when the Vietnamese invaded Cambodia in 1979. If I had hope in me at that time, I would have thought it was over. But I soon found myself, my mother and my brother, being forced to escape the Vietnamese and ended up in Thailand at the refugee camp. And it still wasn't over. Thailand decided to stop receiving refugees. My mother and I arrived just days after the closing dates. We were illegal refugees. We hid in the camp, fed by the mercy of the legal refugees. Mum and I would hide in underground holes to avoid the regular raids of armed guards looking for illegals. Finally, in 1988, I got accepted to come to New Zealand through the Refugee Resettlement Program. The journey from the first time I was taken away from my home to the time I finally had a place to call home again took almost 14 years, from the age of 7 to 21. In September 1988, I landed at Auckland Airport with a small group of refugees. From there, we were taken straight into the immigration hostel in Auckland, where we had to stay for 6 weeks under quarantine until we got all the medical clearance. During that time, we were taught all the basic day-to-day skills, like how to use home appliances and how to use bathrooms. One day someone asked me, "Pisey, what do you want to do when you get out of here?" That was the first time I remember that anybody wanted to know or possibly care about what I wanted. Up until that point, my life was all about surviving, finding food to last till the next day. For the first 21 years of my life, I was not used to making decisions, not even on the little things such as the choice of food I ate, let alone knowing what to do with my life. 6 weeks later, I left the immigration hostel, still not knowing what to do. We were told that Hamilton was going to be our new home. So, Hamilton became my home. And for many years, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. The first thing I did was to learn English. Well, I thought learning English would be a good start if I wanted to live in this country. Besides, what chance did I have trying to get everyone to learn Cambodian for me in New Zealand? So 20 weeks after English as a second language course, I managed to get a job at Waikato Hospital as a sterile supply assistant. From there, I got offered a training position to be an anesthetic technician. And 6 months into that training, I realized I made a big mistake. Well, I wanted to quit. And I didn't want to quit just the training. I wanted to quit the whole world. I was struggling hugely with my training, not only because my English was still very poor, but I had very low self-esteem. I remember someone saying something mean to me. Today, those sorts of comments would not even register. But at that time of my life, I felt so hurt and shamed. I contemplated committing suicide just to escape this pain and shame. And as I was thinking about it, I heard my dad's voice speaking to me in my mind. Keep going and look away. Keep going and everything will be okay. These were my dad's actual words he used to soothe me when we saw dead bodies left on the side of the road during the death march 15 years earlier. These words had carried me through many horrible moments in the past. I don't know why these words came to me that day, but they made me stop and reassess my morbid thoughts. At that moment, I realized that I could not dishonor my dad's memory in this way. I owed it all to him to make something of miracle of my life. I had survived the killing fields and escaped the armed soldiers chasing me through a jungle filled with landmines. I had survived the underground world in the refugee camp. And here I was, letting some mean remarks worry me to death. These words gave me a glimpse of hope and urged me to keep on going and giving life another chance. I decided to stop feeling sorry for myself. I started to look for the good things in life instead of what was wrong with it. I stopped crying myself to sleep at night and focused on studying instead. Slowly, things started to improve. And before long, my training came to an end. I managed to pass all the exams and got qualified as an anesthetic technician in 1992. And gaining the top mark in the country was a true blessing. I couldn't stop smiling for about a week. I continued to work for Waikato Hospital for another 10 years. During that time, I was helping my mum run a burger bar at night and set up a bakery in Raglan. I got married and had 2 kids. I also had a go with property investments. In 2002, I resigned from the hospital to work at the bakery so that I could be around the kids more when they were little, and renovated a few houses in between. I looked back and realized that I had come a long way from my previous life to living a dream in paradise. New Zealand truly is my paradise on earth. Hope had brought me to this point that I am enjoying life and looking forward to each day of living. I am now working as an anesthetic technician, 1 day or so a week when it suits. I've always wanted to study psychology, and now is just as good time as any. So I am studying psychology at the University of Waikato right now. I am still investing in properties and currently having a go at project managing the building of my own home. I also helped my husband run a bakery business in Raglan. In 2015, I published a book, and it became a bestseller. After the book came out, I received messages from people to tell me that my story had made a difference in their life, one way or another. These messages gave me a sense of satisfaction much more than material possession can compare. My unfortunate circumstances just happened to be a terrible war. But we all have trials and challenges in life, don't we? No one on this planet really cruises through life. What concerns me most is the number of people who succumb to their challenges, who give in, stop trying, and use suicide as the final escape. That is what drove me to write my book, and why I'm standing on this stage right now to share one simple message. There is hope. All you need is to open yourself up to the possibility of hope. It may start just as a weak, sputtering flicker, but as you nurture that hope to a steady flame, your life will change. After all I have been through in life, I have learned that everything can be taken away from me, including all my material possessions, my basic human rights, even the clothes on my back, and the hair on my head can be all stripped away from me at any time. But there is one thing that no one can take away from me. It is my ability to hold on to hope for a better life and a better future, regardless of the circumstances I may be facing. No one has the right to take that away from me. No one can, unless I let them.